Welcome to this week's episode of the Agent Playbook, where Travis and I discuss why, all aspects of your business and why to ask why, how to become better. Like and subscribe to the Agents Playbook. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yep, it's still morning for another hour or so. Although depending on where you are, did I tell you that story about our hour? So driving vacation time, driving from here to Lake Powell, you go through time changes 3 times.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. And then the boat ramp is actually right on the line for the time change. So you launch the boat. If I go right, I get an hour. If I go left, I lose an hour.
Silly.
It was. Kept going back and forth, watching my phone and my watch change. It was kind of weird, but how are you?
Oh, doing good.
Nice. Okay.
Thank you.
I got Travis yawning already.
I know. I don't know where that came from.
Oh, it's the boredom of my
Somebody brought me a
conversation.
donut, and I think that was a bad idea.
Ooh, went for the sugar high.
Thank you, Scott. It was delicious. Now I'm paying the price.
So you just got back from vacation. I just got
did.
back from vacation. We haven't been here I haven't been on a podcast for a couple of weeks.
I know. It's feeling weird, so it's feeling good to be back.
Good. It's good to be back. So how was vacation?
I've never been to the Midwest like I have been.
Okay.
You know, I have family in Michigan. I don't really consider that the Midwest necessarily, but Iowa, wow. That is the Midwest. It was very interesting, and I was very excited to find that Remax is a huge presence in the Midwest.
Nice.
It's like everywhere. I was like, wow, all right.
Lots of signs up. I like
Yes.
that. And then new chapter, I'd written some notes, and you were asking the question, and what it would leading you to the next question. New chapter in life this week coming up. You're about to.
Is it still the Midwest? Is Boise the Midwest? I don't know. I think it is. I hear there's corn and soybean up there and maybe some potatoes.
Right.
But yes, my eldest going off to college.
All right.
Go Boise State Broncos.
Nice.
I will be wearing my San Diego State shirt there, though.
So is she excited about this?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Very good. So you got did you make your run to, let's see, so dorm life, I'm assuming. So you had to make your run to Bed Bath & Beyond.
Yeah, Target, Kohl's,
Right.
CVS. Way easier now, though. You know, you can ship things, direct ship them
Right.
to where we're going, so we don't have to take it all necessarily, although we're taking a lot of stuff. Yeah, it's been a process.
Very good. What's her major?
Primary education.
Oh, always need more teachers in life, so that's a good thing. Very exciting.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Today's topic.
Why?
Why would we talk about that?
Why?
Silliness, I say. Why ask why? So we're going to go back to childhood, and we're going to remember those days.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, why can't I have that? Why can't I do this? Why can't I? Why can't I? Why can't we? Why? And for a lot of you, this will start to spark a memory if you've had kids in your life or have kids. And one of the things that came to my mind when I was writing some notes on this and starting to give this topic some thought, was going back to that childhood and that asking the why. But one of the other things that came to my mind is why we as adults take action to kind of discourage that. So often we, don't ask why or because I said so and things like that. And I get it. It can be frustrating when we're in the moment, but it's one of those things that is a natural tendency in children, and that sales and that curiosity and it's all there. And I started to remember back of, hey, as adults, we kind of suppress that.
I know. Why do we lose that? Why do we choose to give it away?
Right. Exactly. So I'm excited about this topic. I took some notes on why we're going to be talking about the why. Hopefully today we try to apply this to our industry in real estate and, what we can hopefully gain from this. But the real premise of our conversation today is, ask why in every aspect of our job. Why are we doing this? Why does my listing presentation look this way? Why does why am I geographically farming this way? Why am I marketing this way? Why am I answering the phone this way? Why am I, whatever the question is.
Why did I lose a piece of business the way I did?
Yep. We talked about that a little bit yesterday, that
Yep.
we had a situation with an agent that had lost some business and asked the question of why. And when you start to go back, some of our conversation today is going to be leading into, well, this could lead into changes in our business. And
is it you? Is it the business?
Right.
Is it the location? Why?
Exactly.
Why is this happening?
So for me, when I looked at this, I broke it down into 4 reasons why to ask why. And we can relate these to the real estate world. And by the way, real estate world out there, I apologize. We didn't give you a proper hello for anybody that's out there. We had some technical difficulties this morning, so it might have been a little bit hard to find us this morning because our link went bad and we had to create a new link. But wouldn't be technology if that wasn't part of the gig. If there are questions, I am monitoring this, but also behind the scenes, Daniel's monitoring as well. If you see anything, Daniel, feel free to raise your hand or just throw a shout out. If you guys have questions or have a situation of, hey, you want us to apply the why to that and see where it leads, just throw it in the chat and we're happy to go that direction. But thank you for joining us today. So note number 1 that I put in there: why fosters personal growth. Just probably one of the biggest things when I think of why ask questions is from an internal, hey, we're trying to make some changes. And what changes can we make, by what adjustments can we make when we start to question some of the things that we do? But I'd love your input. I know, right? I got to get Travis woken up a little bit.
Sometimes we get to the point where we're so stuck in the way we do things that we try to fit the reality into our way of doing things, which is backwards. You really should say, why are we doing this way based on what we're being presented with? And how do we change what we're doing to make this easier, better experience, more efficient, whatever it might be.
Right.
But I think we get stuck in these ruts and we just try to cram all of what we're presented with into what we're doing. And I think we lose a lot doing that, And so when you can change that around and say, okay, we've got a new reality. It's been, these days it could be a year, maybe 10 years ago, it might take 5 years to get the same amount of change that today we get in a year.
Right.
But to look at things and say, whoa, yeah, I think I can do better. Personal growth. Look at you instead of trying to make everything fit to your reality or your systems or how you're running things.
Right. So, and let's throw an example out there, because one of the systems that I hear frequently now, there are some obvious things out there. Example: why on earth would I run a newspaper ad nowadays? We used to run,
because we always have.
We used to run a lot of newspaper ads, and that's something that we got away from, and we pivoted and we shifted and we went more digital in our. But for me, that's an obvious one, and it may not always be obvious for everybody. And our market really doesn't pay attention to the newspaper. Now, there are some markets that do.
I was going to say, we can't say this in a big blanket.
Correct.
There are areas where some advertising spend's a smart idea.
Exactly.
But boy, are they few and far between.
But I look at one of the ones that has been questioned recently, and I've been hearing from the agents, is with regard to geographic farming. Does it still work? Why do the mailers on a regular basis and this and that? And that's one of those ones where I feel like we're starting to make a pivot, and we're really starting to make a change, that you've got to pay attention to how your ad dollars are being spent and other things that can be incorporated into that. And it's not, old school still works, but old school may not be the most effective, best use of your resources And that's a great opportunity to ask why,
Yeah.
especially if you're a geographic farmer in a particular area for a long time. This is a great opportunity to ask, hey, why are we still doing things the same way? Well, we're still having results. Okay. But can we have better results? Can we, can we be more efficient, more effective? Can we present a better message? Can we present better branding opportunities? Yeah. So these are all questions that I look at, and I think that that's a real good one to that agents can look at and say, hey, why are we doing it this way?
Yeah, and I think we need to make sure that we're not throwing out the baby with the bathwater here.
Mm-hmm.
Why doesn't mean you have to utterly change everything you're doing or scrap what you're doing and bring in new things. It could be as simple as, hey, how can we tweak this a little bit to make it better, to make it more efficient, to make it a better return on our efforts? And I think geographical farming is probably one of those, because geographical farming, although we have a lot of tactics and things we do, like postcards or door-to-door hangings, social events and things, some of these should still be going on.
Right.
But some of them we could do better now, because it's not, I have to be careful how I say this, because I always tell people geographic farming, a big part of it is being in your farm.
Correct.
And being seen. I think that's very important. But it's more about how we're marketing. Hey, I'm marketing that I'm your area expert. Hey, look at what I'm doing. Hey, let me help you. That doesn't necessarily mean it has to be through the mail or door to door. Now with everything going so digital, you can digitally farm an area.
Yep.
And your message is, I'm the area expert.
Correct.
So you're just kind of tweaking what you're already doing a little bit. You're not throwing it all out and redoing it. You're just, hey, how can we make some adjustments to get to where the people are, where their eyes are?
Right.
Because they're not over here anymore. So let's tweak it a little bit. So I'm still geographical farming. I'm just going to do it in a little bit more efficient, smart way.
Mm-hmm. So, and it goes back to our conversation that we were talking about yesterday. When I think of geographic farming, one of the ultimate goals that I feel like we're always looking for is when you're talking to someone that's within your geographic farm, it's always music to your ears when you hear these words of, I see you everywhere. And when you can create that perception and that becomes their reality, that's really when you know that you're doing a lot of the right things. Because that's, we always love the phone call of, hey, come list me and things like that. But ultimately, one of the best pieces of feedback that you can get is when you run into somebody and they look at you and say, I see you everywhere.
Yeah.
That's
okay, I'm doing my job.
Exactly.
Keep that part going.
That part is going well. Now, is your message exactly right and things like that? And you can, you can take why and analyze that part of it as well. Hey, they see me everywhere, but I'm not getting any business. Okay. So maybe our why needs to be focused on what's our message that they see.
Yes.
And, adjusting that or making some modifications to that. But I want to, I written some notes when we talked about why and how to apply it. First pick the problem. And in this particular case, we're talking about a geographic farm.
Well, I'm not even sure it's a problem. You might not even see it as a problem.
True.
I mean, you could, like you said, we got that call about, hey, why am I losing this business?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we've identified a problem and we want to fix it. But, you may just you may think everything's copacetic. And I'm going to suggest that even if you think everything's copacetic, go ahead and do a why test.
Right.
Because you may be shocked. You may be like, well, I'm good. Hey, I'm doing my $5-10 million a year. But with the tweak in what you're doing and getting to the right eyes and away from things that aren't as effective anymore,
right?
Maybe with little to no more effort, you can bump that up 20-40%.
Could be less cost, could be more efficient.
Exactly.
Could be giving you more
there doesn't
time.
have to be a problem.
Right.
But certainly if there's a problem, that is an obvious opportunity to say, why is this happening?
Exactly. So when we find that, so the next thing that I look at is, ask yourself, why this is happening, which is what we were talking about. Ponder on those answers, then ask the why again. And one of the favorite things, I wrote down here, I stole this straight from you, is so often you are the master of rinse and repeat. Of boom, we have a system in place. Now that we've got the system in place, evaluate that system, make some modifications to it, tweak it, repeat, measure again, and keep on going. And that becomes a constant battle. And as long as we're doing those things, hopefully we're making progress.
Yeah, no, that's good. And I always say these are living documents.
Mm-hmm.
Like some people look at it and go, well, I don't do this stuff, but this is pretty good. Awesome.
Right.
Make it your own, you know? And you're right. You're going to be looking at that, and we need to ask why about those too. Why am I doing that? Maybe I don't need to be doing that anymore. Let me throw something else on there. The concept in itself of running a system is never going to go away, but the details are always going to be in flux.
So let me ask you this. And I see people sometimes afraid, because I also see this as an opportunity of, hey, Travis, here's my plan for this. And getting that feedback from a third party who doesn't have a personal attachment to it. Like in everything that we have a personal attachment to, we just see things differently. But being willing to open up that playbook to somebody else and saying, hey, this is my playbook. Why do you think it's working? Why do you think it's not working? What do you, getting that feedback from somebody else and hearing about somebody else's why and how valuable that can be.
You can confirm this, but I would guess that 50% or better of the times that I visit you are, hey, will you look at this? I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. I want a different set of eyes on this.
Exactly.
And we're pretty close. I mean, we're in the same industry. We're the same brand. We're in the same company.
Right,
we
right.
have the same vision and mission. But with a different set of eyes, too many times I've said, hey, this is awesome, Nestor. You're going to love this. And you'll be like, well, what about this? And I'll be like, that's like, how did I ever miss that? Yeah, so definitely.
We tend to pigeonhole ourselves because we have our own thoughts of what we
Exactly.
think.
And sometimes it leaves us blind to pretty obvious things.
Yeah, I always love seeing a marketing piece and saying, there's no CTA on there. Did you mean not to have a CTA? Did you mean not to, ask for, have a call to action on there and actually address something? Did you mean not to have a phone number on there? Did you mean not to have a website on there? Are you just showing a pretty picture of yourself? Is that actually your goal? And sometimes we get so focused on what we're looking at that we forget those little things that people are really looking for. So, but yeah. So first one we were talking about is why it fosters personal growth, gives me the ability to, make changes in my life. I had written a little note on here that, the definition obviously of insanity is to continue to do the same thing over and over again and hopefully seek different results out of that. And I feel like the why applies to that big time, that when we start to ask those questions, that's leading us in the direction of making some changes. And bad, worse, good, better, whatever it is, change is how we grow. Sometimes step backwards, get a step forward, but it is how we grow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. I'll ask you a question on this one. So the next one I talked about, or that I wrote down here, was, why sparks creativity? And for me, this came from my thought process and working with the marketing department sometimes when we're trying to put things together, that a lot of times I'll get in front of the creators in the marketing department and why do I think one that I ask a lot of times, because I'm confused about social media, is why is this appealing? Because sometimes I look at stuff and I'm all like, this isn't appealing to me, but it's getting a lot of traction or a lot of reactions online. So sometimes I'll go to, hey, why is this appealing, or why is this, or how would you make this different, or why should we even do something like this? And my point to that is that when you can start to spark that creativity in people, that's when you start to get new ideas, innovation, come up with things. Why do we need 3 cameras? Why do we need lights? Why did we need microphones and all of this stuff for our podcast? Why couldn't we just keep it nice and simple with one little Yeti here in the middle? And we were looking for more. So,
yeah.
Did we find it? I don't know. But we're still working on it.
Yeah, that's important. I like that. Why not? Because you can get by, but if you look at that, you're going to have a cost benefit kind of analysis on what's going on,
Right.
and improve things that you didn't think could be improved or weren't inclined to improve it.
More thoughts on creativity?
No.
No? All right.
I'm sure there's something there. I'm not prepared for it.
It's all good.
I had a little bit of a why today. I was walking someone through the office. We went back to where our old information reporting service was, and we used to have those counters in there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was a big why. I was like, why do we have these there? And then it dawned on me when we were doing the remodel that we used to have 3 huge fax machines. Were you here when we had those?
No, I was not, but I know what you're talking about.
And I went, oh my God, that's why we had this here, because it made perfect sense. Those machines were they would churn out paperwork back in, the late 90s into the early aught years.
Right.
They were extremely important to the business. They're not even back there now. And I'm like, so why do we even have the counter that supported them? Let's do something else back here. Why don't we do something else? But it took a while, I was comfortable with it there and I didn't want to change it. And I had to keep asking why. And then I finally realized there is no why. Why not? Let's do this.
Right. Well, a lot of the changes that you made within the office were, why? Because things were different. Fax machines.
Well, that's one in itself. Boy, if people are still using fax machines, you got big whys to ask.
I still see it every now and then that a fax comes through or that we get. I mean, right now, the majority of the faxes I see are solicitations.
Yeah.
We buy used cars, we do this, we do that type things. And does it still work? Perhaps. But I guess if I was in that industry, that would be one of the things of me asking.
Why are we faxing?
Why are we faxing? Yeah, it's a valid question for those of you out there. Yes, if you're doing that, that's a good one to ask. Why, and are you being effective or as effective as you can be? But fax machines, wow, we still have one of those.
Well, you've got to, right? You never know.
I mean one of those original ones.
It exists somewhere in the building.
It's still working. It's still functioning. It's up in escrow as a backup. So it's it's still there. It still does its job. And
that was the one industry in banking that held on to faxes for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But that's changing radically right now. That's
a safe way to get information over. So. Yes, as long as you dial the right number. So one of the other reasons to say why is why makes us more empathetic. It makes us more accountable for what we're doing and who we are. Why am I doing this? And when I ask my question why I'm doing something, I'm kind of questioning, hey, why are we creating this marketing piece, or why are we running this ad, or why are we calling the photographer out to take pictures and spend all this money on photography on a property that we know when we're going to put it right in the MLS right away, it's going to sell in 1 or 2 days. You have that property that's priced perfect, that shows perfect, it's going to go quickly. Why spend these dollars bringing out the photographer, running your ads, doing the things that you do, sending out the postcards? It's a valid question. Mm-hmm. Why? Because the market's not always going to be like this. Why? Because it could lead to future business. We want to let people know that we're busy in what we're doing. Why? Because you want to uphold your standard of what you're doing and your presentation. Yeah, can you get away with not doing it that way? Sure. Can you get away with no 3D tours or no this or no that? Sure, you can. But is that really what you're looking for in generating your business? And is that a good long-term solution?
Yep.
A lot of whys in there. So I'll let you answer that question. So why, Travis, you just took this listing, it's going to sell right away, you're not going to have any problems. So why go through all the trouble of all the little things that we do to get that house on the market?
Well, when it sells, no one knows that it sold or you sold it unless you have a lot of evidence that you can push out there. So having that marketing material is important for your business. But I think the more important thing is trying to get this straight in my head before I was going to say it. You can tell someone you're going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mr. Herrera, when we get your house on the market, we're going to do this beautiful dollhouse floor plan. It's fantastic. Oh, okay. Maybe you'll get the business, maybe you won't. Hey, Mr. Herrera, here, let me take you to this website. I want to show you what we do on every listing we have. Here's your dollhouse website. See this one? This was a listing we have currently. Here's what it's going to look like. We'll do this for you. What's more effective? To say you're going to do it or to show what you do? Huge difference. So you need those materials constantly available, showing people you're active, you're out there, what you're doing. And the more you have, the more cumulative you have out there, the better. It can't hurt you to have too much. It definitely hurts you to have too little.
And you brought up a very interesting point. This was on role play this morning. The question on role play was this morning was, why are you different? I interviewed 3 agents. Tell me why you're different than the other 3. And again, that why started to stir up some things in there. But what I found interesting was, just as you just mentioned, one of the conversations it led to was this was an opportunity to truly analyze and be specific in your answer. And the role play started off as everybody was being very vague. Well, I'm different because I market this way and I market that way. And what I just heard you say is being able to show proof of what you're doing, and that was the perfect opportunity. So Mr. Seller, this is why I'm different. Yes, we both market in this area, but these are the results that we get.
Yeah.
And this is why this is going to benefit you more. Those are the things that make us different, and that's why. So I might be saying why a lot for
It just made me think of something about why that, man, just hit me so hard. And maybe some people can relate to this. If not, maybe think about how you can go through a similar process. But if anyone's ever been through a deposition before, not a great thing, but
no. Try to stay away from those, by the way. Yes.
If not a deposition, what was my other example that I had in my head? Of course, it's fleeting now, but just, maybe an audit,
Mm-hmm.
So when you're with a public company or something, it's not a bad thing. It's just they come in and say, we need to make sure everything's in order,
right,
to keep your license, whatever it might be. Man, are those crazy opportunities to learn and grow in your business.
Right.
I remember after going through one of those, it wasn't a deposition, but it was like a questioning about my business practices.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why do you do it that way? Well, how do you do that? Well, where does that go? Well, why does it go that way? And I'm sitting there going, I've never really thought about this, to be honest with you. And man, I'm being questioned. I'm writing down all the questions, and I'm coming back, and I'm like, okay, guys, how do we do this? Is that the right way to do it? So I got my own understanding. At the same point, it put the pressure on the staff to think about what they were doing and why, and make sure it's the most efficient and the safest procedures and things that we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, how do I go from rarely thinking about this, then going into this setting where I'm being questioned about it, and it makes me just go, oh my God, this is like so important. I can't believe I'm not on top of this. So having someone look at you and ask you questions about your business is an eye-opener. Maybe you grab a coworker
Mm-hmm.
and have them run you through the ringer like that.
Well,
What are you trying to do? Okay, now how are you doing that? And just boom, 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 right down the line.
Which I feel like we do that usually at the end of every year, beginning of every year. We have a conversation with a lot of agents about your business model and why it's that way and what's going on, and what was successful about it, what was not successful about it, and there's always a lot of whys in there. Why are you spending so much money over here when the statistics show that you make most of your business from over here, and you're not spending any resources or time or energy there? And in case you guys didn't know, I'm talking about center of influence. So year after year, center of influence tends to be the most profitable as a whole for real estate agents, and year over year, that tends to be where the majority of the real estate agents spend the least amount of resources. And we have that conversation over and over and over again. Why aren't we putting more there?
Well, what do you do with your sphere of influence? Call them when I think about them.
Yep. Or pick up the phone when they call you. Yeah.
Yikes. That's true. We do go through that process. It's powerful. Like you said, it's an accountability.
I was talking to an agent this morning, and here was the conversation. Was got a call from her past client, and her past client said this: I just bought a new house, and we're about to close escrow on it. It was new construction, and I was wondering if you would go through the walkthrough with me to take a look at the house. And the agent naturally asked the question of, well, why didn't you call me to go to the house when you made the offer? Oh, I didn't know that you guys could profit from that. And is that their fault or is that our fault?
Our fault.
Exactly.
It's always our fault.
And that's a great opportunity to adjust your, hey, what messages are we saying out there to make sure that people understand this thing and see this one thing?
Yeah.
And, you know, I loved this story because this story did the agent miss out on an opportunity for a sale?
Yes.
They did. Service the client. They did. Okay. They made an adjustment to their business.
That's it. If you learn from it.
Got a call and said, hey, from another past client or from past client basically got a call and said, hey, I'm thinking of buying a brand new construction. I understand that you can help me. I'd like to set up an appointment to go out and take a look at new construction with you. That occurred because there was an adjustment done of why, looking at the situation and why didn't this work out for me?
Why did this happen?
Yes.
Boy, that's a good one. That can happen all the time.
Can happen all the time.
Whenever you feel steam coming out of your ears or you're getting a little upset, maybe a little tight around the collar, that's probably a good moment to ask why.
Yep. But I love it. Proactive approach, made some changes, made an adjustment, got the message out there. Obviously now is getting the message out there to the to past clients
Yes.
that this is something I can help you with, and created business from a minor adjustment. That's a little tweak. That's going to change your income by, in this particular case, $20,000 or $30,000 for the year. From one little tweak. So love it. Going back to Darren Hardy and the compound effect.
Yeah.
All the little things we do, they all add up.
That's right. We so easily say, oh, I'll do that next time. Or just, I think I see the examples when I have something in my head and there's a power to it. I'm like, oh, God, that's something I've got to always do. I got to get that in my system. And the phone rings and it's gone. And it's so important, man, when something pops into your head, man, right then and there, you got to have a system for putting it down somewhere where it's either going to be looked at again or it's put right into what you're doing.
Exactly.
Because, man, we think, no, I'll remember that. No, you won't. No, you won't.
The marketing department can attest to that. What was that idea I had yesterday? As I look at them, why didn't you guys write it down? Yes, holding myself accountable. Why didn't I write it down and remember that? So, absolutely. But I just, again, I love the story of the agent, making that adjustment and holding herself accountable for, lost a transaction, made some questions, asked the why in there, made an adjustment, led to business in the future.
How about this? Because now we've got two examples. We have an agent called us up and said, oh my God, I lost this piece of business to someone and I got to figure out why, because I feel that it should have been a slam dunk.
Yep.
And now you've got someone who realized they made an error. Wow, I should have had this business or at least had an opportunity. I need to change it. I can do better. But how about, wow, that was an unexpected piece of business. Why did they come to me? How did that happen? And figure out, was there a natural trail that you had set of crumbs for that action to ultimately happen? If so, are you setting that same trail of crumbs with everyone you know possible to make it happen? And if not, if it's like, wow, that came out of the blue, well, what was the trail they took, maybe that you didn't set, that you could mimic and set up with everyone else and see if they'll follow that trail?
I'll point out, in reality, it probably did not come out of the blue. There was something that you did or something that occurred, and you're right. There was some chain of events that actually got them to the point where very, very, very rarely is it going to be a boom. You just so happen to appear in front of somebody for the very first time when they happen to need it. We see that in door knocking.
Yes.
It does happen in the door knocking situation that if you door knock enough doors, you will be in front of the right person right at the time that they were thinking of doing something, get that invite into the house right then and there, and can walk away with a contract that day. That does happen.
Yes, it does.
But that is rare. You've got to, there's a lot of numbers, a lot of no's you've got to go through to do that. And can you build a business that way? Absolutely. But in the point that you were making, we do have to analyze what's going on and what led to them being put in front of us and thinking about us. And it can be different for, so many different people for so many different reasons. I remember a transaction. I got an REO account because I threw a kid out of the game in baseball. His son got thrown out to this day, I still remember it. His son got thrown out at third base. The umpire called him out, and he got up and he got in the umpire's head, in the umpire's face. And I benched the kid for the next inning and made him go apologize to the umpire. 2 weeks later, I'm getting a call from an REO company saying, you've been given this asset, and I couldn't figure out where the connection was or why the heck they called me. And then the next day I get a phone call from this guy, and he's all like, I just wanted to let you, he actually called and said, hey, I just want to make sure that they got in touch with you about this REO. And I said, yeah, but who are you? And he says, oh, well, you were coaching my son in the All-Stars, and you're the guy who benched him for yelling at the umpire. And I just want to let you know I appreciated that, and that,
wow,
you never know.
Yeah.
That where things are going to come from and what's going to happen and what creates that. But, hey, it was a fun story. So, got a lot of business that year from REOs. So that was nice. But, again, we never know.
Doing the right thing.
That is a great message or a great point to make is go out there, do what you feel is right, and continue to do that. You'll attract the people that are like you, like-minded, and business will come. Which leads me to my next why. Why encourages humility. Gives you the opportunity to be humble. Gives you the opportunity to self-reflect. Can go so many different directions in that. But I'm going to let you talk some more about that.
That was your point. But yeah, I mean, just recognizing that you don't have all the answers.
Right.
And that you need to reach out to other people and bounce your ideas off of them. Let them know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
See what their thoughts are on it. You've got a world consciousness, and you're just one little piece of it.
Right.
So when you reach out and ask why, be a little humble about it. Don't act like you have all the answers. That can pay huge dividends.
Very much so. Very much so. Those were all my notes.
I felt like notes.
I felt like we said a lot of why today.
Yeah. I think it all started for me, this topic, when we were discussing it was, I don't know where this is going to go, but I thought I'd mention it anyways.
It's all good.
Started with listing presentations. I thought, what a great thing to do with a listing presentation is why?
Yep.
Why do I do this? And it doesn't have to be that you're outdated, but could be a huge thing of what's going on in your listing presentation. And then also just about how you're doing it. Mm-hmm. Are you doing the right things that you think are powerful and can create that relationship to get to the business?
Well, listing presentation, I look at that and I think that's a awesome example of throwing the why there. Why didn't we change our listing presentation to pivot with COVID? Why did we keep this in? Why did we not put this in? Why did we not make adjustments to address these things?
Yeah, what's the difference between, oh, hello, Mr. Herrera, yeah, blah, 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 oh, in regards to COVID, or here's how I show houses.
Exactly.
And as you could see, here's what we used to do, but now we have COVID, close the presentation. But what we do now, let me explain it to you.
Right.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. As opposed to, and as you know, COVID has affected us. So this is how we do it now.
Right.
And you've prepared it and you've written it out, and you're not closing the book on something that you're not going to talk about because it doesn't apply anymore, and then just try to talk your way through it. Why did I do that? Why didn't I write out the COVID,
Right.
put it in my presentation so I can look that much more professional in what I did?
Why didn't I make an adjustment to open houses are part of my marketing plan when it comes to taking the listings, and open houses were gone for what, 13 months, I think it was. Why didn't I make an adjustment to address that? So
Here's
that
what
could
I
have-
used to do for open houses.
Right.
You're probably very familiar with this. I'm sure you visited some of them. I'm not sure everybody did what I'll do because I really do a great job, by the way. Flip. But here's what we do now to answer that same question,
Right.
because getting in a house, having that opportunity to see it's so important. And here's how we've answered the changes with COVID.
I'd be interested. I'm going to ask this question. So there are some people that are here online, and I would love for you guys to just throw in the chat here. Did you modify your listing presentation in the last 12 months? Has it been modified, changed, added to, however you want to look at it? I would love to hear, because I think overall, a lot of people didn't make a lot of changes.
Did or did not?
Did not.
Yeah.
Yeah, that and then sat there and wondered, what happened? Well, we didn't ask why, and we didn't make adjustments to that. So I'd be interested to hear, did you guys make changes to that? Did you guys make adjustments to that? Drop it in there and just let me know, because I'd be curious to hear about that. While they're answering that question, what else would you like to talk about, Mr. Travis?
I don't know if there's any more specific. I mean, we could probably get into a lot of specifics, but we covered a lot about.
I'll ask you this question. So if you're going to generate business, or if you're going to look at something right now, and what's you feel important as a real estate agent and making adjustments in your business, let's say, we can bring it up now. We're about to roll out a 120-day plan to come out for the final quarter, fourth quarter, and helping boost people's business. If you were analyzing an agent's business right now, what would be one of the first things that you would look at, and why?
First thing I want to know is, what are you doing to generate your business?
Okay.
i.e., what is your business plan?
Okay.
Without something, give me one page
Okay.
that shows 4 or 5 ways that you're going to build a daily and weekly return outside of anything that happens in your business
Okay.
to keep your business humming along and generate that business for your business.
Okay.
Sorry about so many businesses in a row there. Because I think people fly by the seat of their pants, and I think they miss out on a tremendous opportunity by simply doing these repetitive things.
Right.
That we get out of the habit of, maybe because we say, why am I doing this? And some things you do because it's over the long term. And then right behind that, I'll tell you, you're not going to be surprised to hear this, but in a transaction to begin with, what do you do? What's important in there? Write it down.
Yep.
It's called the system. It can be this long or it can be 3 pages long. But there are things that we do repetitively that, again, we get distracted and we forget, and we don't do in a timely manner, or we don't do it all that we know we should do in transactions. I should, when my home is listed, as soon as I have those photos, I'm posting it on Facebook so everyone that I'm friends with knows I'm in the business and sees this property, especially in this market where people want to know what's available, or whatever those steps are. So I'll tell you right now, most people, they're just going to keep it in their head, and they'll do these sometimes and sometimes this, but not really that if they feel like it. No, you know what's important in your business and what's going to move the needle.
Yep.
So just have a simple checkoff box. Did I go into Facebook? Did I go into Instagram? Did I send the written thank you note at the end of the transaction, or whatever it might be?
Exactly.
You decide these in advance. Now you hold yourself accountable to them. Those are the two things. Plan it and work it.
I'll add to that one of the most important things that I see in having that system in place is it gives you the opportunity to not have to use your mind on something that is really not necessary, because you can just follow the checklist and get these things done. And so often we go off of memory, and I heard these words the other day in a listing. Didn't go off the checklist, went everything, I got it. And Michelle got a phone call, and they said, "Are we going to put a sign up?" I'm like, forgot to put the sign up in the front yard.
Those are the most important ones. You think, I would never forget a sign. I would never forget a lockbox. No, put it on the list.
Forgot the sign. So, you know, and you want to talk about breaking down the system. Not only did forget the sign, but then the system wasn't completely in place where I got this. I'll go ahead, pulled everything out of the garage, went to the property. Yeah, missing the clips. So I got to have half the sign. And we laugh about this because it is funny, but at the time it was extremely frustrating. Sitting there thinking, I have my list. I have the thing. Just look at it. I know I need this, and I need this. Do I have all of these things, and are they in the car in the right place before I go? Make a 45-minute drive back and forth. So what should have taken 30 minutes total, or even better, had been taken care of at another opportunity when I was already at the property, ended up going back and forth.
Yep.
3 times. So, yeah, I got the post wrong. I had the wrong post on the top and the bottom, so those didn't match. So I went back to the property without the clips. Went back to the property because the post didn't match. And you'd think I'd learned my lesson. So third time, put the whole thing together at home, said, yep, I got it all, and then took it apart and got it there. So
I think a lot of people look at the list, they're like, well, yeah, I mean, I didn't even look at this list, and I've already got these 5 things that I know to do. Exactly, and that's going to happen. A lot of those things on the list you're just going to do rotely. Mm-hmm. But on occasion, you're going to be like, oh, gosh, I missed that one. Plus, there's going to be a whole lot of things that you want to do in your business, but you didn't have the systems or you weren't committed to it. And if they're there and you see them, they're written, and you can check them off.
Correct.
You're going to get those down, and they're going to pay dividends.
And they become automatic for us, but I think that one of the things that I recognized, and, you know, asking this why and going back to the system, is it's a busy market right now. Taking a lot of phone calls, dealing with a lot of different things, not forgetting these things because, you know, didn't forget to put up the sign because, you know, it's been so long before a listing's been, or since a listing's been taken, that it's just at the moment when it was supposed to happen, other things were happening.
Exactly.
And because it wasn't written down and we weren't following the checklist, it got overlooked. And you never want the homeowner, we're going to put up a sign. It wasn't damaging, but those are things that we don't want. We don't want homeowners coming to us and saying, hey, are we going to do this? The obvious thing. So, yes. Is somebody going to actually show up to my open house and hold it open for me? Yes. Yes, we have those things. So, anyway.
Well, I like that. I wasn't really thinking about it till we were here, but having someone else ask why, I think that's fantastic.
It is. Because it reminds you of, it gives an opportunity for somebody else to think of something that perhaps you didn't think about.
Yeah. So. And I mean, really, a lot of us are a little careful. We want to keep things close to the vest. We think, oh, what if I'm going to compete against you? The reality is everyone has that concern, and the times that it happen are so few and far between. It
is. That was one of the early lessons that I learned in this industry, Travis, is so many people are concerned about that, the secrets of this and the secrets of that. And let's be realistic. Hey, here's my entire playbook. Are they going to actually open it, look at it, and steal everything?
People pay $400, $500, $600 to Tom Ferry, Verl Workman, Mike Ferry, Darren Hardy.
Yep.
And it's generally a book on their desk or on their bookcase that if I pulled it off and opened it up at a random page, it will crack.
Yep.
Because it hasn't been opened.
We were, during the remodel, gave everybody a lot of opportunities to get rid of old stuff here in the office. And I don't know how many cassettes and 8-tracks that I saw, or not 8-tracks, I'm sorry, VHS tapes and cassettes that I saw in the original package, still unopened.
Shrink wrapped, huh?
Exactly. So well preserved. So that was one of those things where, hey, here's the formula and here's the system that just never got used. So, that can be an entirely different podcast of, actually following through with making these changes, taking action after we've created the plan.
Good way to do why. I was just thinking about this early in my career. I was part of a training program. Oh, I forget now. Howard Brinton.
Mm-hmm.
And he would interview superstars back in the day. It was around 2000. And I had a plastic book, and inside were, like 6 tapes on each side.
Right.
And they would each be an interview. And I would get in my car, and as I was going to put up signs or going to farm or doing whatever I'm doing, I'm putting in a tape and listening to these people. And he would just interview them about their business, a lot like Tom Ferry does these days, or Brian Buffini, or whoever it might be. I mean, these are really readily available. And I thought, you know what I was doing by doing that? I was asking why.
Yep.
I'm listening to other people and saying, oh, why do I do it the way I do it? I understand why they're doing it. Okay. And I was growing with those tapes.
Right.
So today, we've got YouTube and podcasts and things that you can be listening to all the time. And that's actually a great way of why. And then, of course, the one big important piece of this whole thing, that's the action. That's what we got to remember. You got to take action on it. Otherwise, it's for naught.
Exactly. But should have. Okay. So thank you, Mary. So just wanted to acknowledge you, Mary. Mary had put a note on here asking my question, did you change your listing presentation during COVID? And her response was no, but that she should have.
Well, very good.
Yeah. So, and does that mean it's too late? No, that just gives us an opportunity. So hopefully this stirred up some thought processes and things like that about some adjustments that we can make and move forward. So, but happy Friday.
Yes, absolutely. Glad to finally get back to the podcast, and you're on your own next week.
It's all good.
That.
I've got some ideas about what we're gonna do next week. Right. So yeah, I'll introduce that one, and it'll be exciting. So thank you guys, everybody who joined us. I appreciate that. Daniel, I don't see any questions in the chat, so I'm just making sure, double checking. All right. So just wanted to say thank you again to everybody. I appreciate it. And as always, we're always here to help. You're welcome to reach out and give us a call or shoot us something in the chat, and we're happy to come back and respond. So.
All right. So we'll start talking about our 120 days coming up the next few.
I'm excited about that. 120 days. It won't be this week or next week that we talk about it, but we're basically releasing it the week after. Yeah. So the week that you come back, we'll be releasing that, and we are putting together a 120-day plan to finish out the last quarter, and it's going to be a big challenge. Excited about that.
Actually, it's more than a quarter. It's a third of the year, 120 days, right? September, October, November, and December.
You're correct.
And you had actually said, which I thought was awesome, is this is a great way to end the year strong and begin the next year strong as well. So that's what we're looking for.
That is our goal, is to help as many people as possible finish your year strong and start 2022. Wow, crazy, almost here. Starts 2022 strong. So looking forward to that. We've got some good ideas, and we've been brainstorming this for a little bit and putting some stuff together behind the scenes. So excited to roll that out and get some participation in that and see what happens.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Again, happy Friday, everybody. Have a wonderful weekend, successful weekend, and we will see you next week.
I'll see you in 2 weeks, folks.